Hey everyone, it's Linny D, and welcome back to my channel. This week I wanted to talk about that age-old question, Mac or PC? That's the question people always talk about, right? You've got to pick a side. But for me, I like to have both because why not? I used to work at Best Buy, so I had to work with both of those. But in addition to that, I also just have always had one of each in my life. When I was a kid, my dad had a PC and my mom had a Mac. I got an iMac when I was a kid, but the schools always had Windows. It was a whole thing. And so I was always used to using both. And I decided that today I wanted to sit down and discuss the pluses and minuses of each and just compare them a little bit because I thought that might be interesting. Let's start with Mac. Mac for me has always been my daily driver computer because it's simple. When I was in high school, I was using a 15-inch MacBook Pro from 2011, and that was my computer every day through high school, and I could get everything done on it. I liked that I never had to worry about viruses. I liked the build quality of it. I guess the other perk of it is if you're in the Apple ecosystem, that also is an advantage to using Apple products, is you never really have to worry about your stuff not getting across because everything gets moved back and forth between your iPhone, your Mac, your iPad, etc. So you really have full continuity between all of your devices, and for me that is something that's really handy because my daily driver phone usually is my iPhone. Sometimes I switch to my Google Pixel 3a, but there's just something about the iPhone's UI that I like a bit better, which I'll get into in another video when I'll discuss Android versus iOS. Wow, I suddenly forgot the name of that. Apple does, though, have a really nice system also for creators. Personally, I am a fan of Final Cut Pro. It's kind of a taste thing. Some people like it, some people don't. I, like everything else, have learned to use both Final Cut and Premiere Pro, but I'll get into my complaints about Premiere and my pluses of Premiere when we get around to PCs. I used to use Premiere on my Apple, but then, they've been reducing the compatibility, stuff like that, so I've just been focusing on using Final Cut on my laptop. And one thing that I like about it is that since it is so simple, it's very easy for me to make things like these. I edit all of my YouTube videos on my Mac because it's just such a simple process of just taking out the parts that I don't want, moving some clips around, and boom, we have a video. But when I get into more complicated stuff like documentaries, I usually do use Premiere. This is both a plus and a minus depending on what you're doing. When you have a timeline in Final Cut, as soon as you delete a clip, it doesn't leave you a blank space to drop something in. It just mashes together those two clips. And that's a plus and a minus because at times that's really handy, like making a YouTube video, but at other times it's kind of annoying, like making a documentary and trying to put together a story. Now, I've got to say though, the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of, and this has become especially more prominent as they've been releasing new ones, is port selection. I am not a huge fan of this whole dongle thing that we are in right now. I really hope that they go back on that. It's not really an issue for desktop computers because they still have their normal back piece, so I'm not as worried there, but it is annoying with laptops. The biggest downside people talk about with Macs is that they can't play video games, and I've got to agree. That is why I have one of each, because I am a gamer. I like to play video games. I don't really do them on my mobile phone. Why, am I 50? I don't play them on my phone usually because I don't like touch controls, but it really isn't made for that. It's made for productivity and for just everyday life. I don't know, I didn't do a lot of games at the time because I had to focus more on schoolwork. That's what I liked about the Mac. It's very simple, it's easy, it's straightforward, it's even just installing software on it is easy. Next up, PC. There's a lot of great things you can say about the PC. Mainly that it is excellent for gaming. It's the system that they make games for when it's not a console. I mean, it's just the ideal option when you want to be able to play video games. You need to have a PC if you play games, and me, I play games. By the way, this is that pink Razer blade that I unboxed, and if you want a review of that, please let me know in the comments below because I have a lot of thoughts, but they're not for here. PCs have a lot of options when it comes to things like gaming and video editing. I use my PC when I need to use Adobe Premiere, but this comes back around to the one thing that I don't like about Premiere, which is that it is a subscription service. So yeah, you will be paying quite a bit up front for your MacBook, but it comes with iMovie, and if you pay another $200, you get Final Cut, but then you have it forever. Premiere, you have to pay every single year unless you're using CS6, which as of recently, they do not want you to do anymore. And I still use it sometimes, but beside the point. So for me, my PC really is primarily a gaming device, though how my other PC, I have two PCs, is for editing because it has the more maxed out specs for things like heavy duty work. The other great thing about PCs is they are very customizable. You can actually, you know, take them apart, open them up, do changes, upgrade them. You can get them in all sorts of different styles and brands. Like I have that pink Razer blade because I'm a basic girl who likes pink, I guess. Don't worry about it. However, the other thing about PCs is that they also have a certain amount of quality control that you have to look into whenever you buy a PC, because there's so many different manufacturers that make so many different levels of quality. You gotta know what you're getting yourself into when you're buying it. I'll tell you right up front, after working at Best Buy, never buy the PCs under $400. Those are garbage. Don't do it. To be specific, I'm gonna explain why. They have 4 gigs of RAM. Windows 10 uses like 2 to 4 gigs of RAM. Never do that, please. 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 The other problem with PCs that is maybe a me-specific thing, but you have to be way more worried about viruses. You actually have to put stuff on your computer to protect it, which isn't like a huge deal, I guess, because like that's just something that smart people do anyways, because my Mac does, I do have anti-spyware stuff on it, but what I'm saying is that like there are way more ways that your PC could get attacked, and that is something that I always worry about. The other thing with PCs that always worries me, Microsoft. I don't trust Microsoft. I love their hardware. I'm actually pretty into the Surface and the Surface Book, but I do not trust their coders because every other update they make, it breaks the computer. Like, come on guys, please test your stuff before you release it. Okay, it probably sounds like I'm harping on PCs, but I'm not, I swear. Like, I literally have 3 of them in ratio to 1 Apple computer. So calm down before you start attacking me in the comments. I just want to let you know. Like, I do have 3 PCs. It's just there are these nitpicks, which is why I always do keep an Apple in the house. I guess I'll wrap this up into a sort of another bullet point list. PCs, the perks, customizable, gaming, lots of different options. On Apple's side, build quality, reliability, simplicity, there you have it. That is the differences that I like to think about when discussing PC versus Mac. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about relating to these two subjects, I do have a lot more that I can talk about, but this is all I have time for right now. Please leave it in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!